enormously, instantaneously.
Hey Audiophiles, welcome to the 12th Fluffy Platinum's Tea. Can you believe the series is going on to year 6? Crazy, I know. Today, I'm going to be talking about some issues I've had with a previous music distributor. Before I begin, I would like to quickly say that if you have any questions, post them in the comments down below, and I will answer them in the next Fluffy Platinum's Tea. Alright, let's begin. Without a label and or the knowledge to self-distribute a catalogue, a majority of independent artists like myself will turn to a third-party music distributor such as DistroKid, TuneCore and CD Baby, and will choose a distributor depending on their needs. I highly encourage any music artists or bands looking for a third-party distributor to always conduct their research to see what works best for them. Look at reviews, look at their website, especially since in most cases you won't be able to get a refund. Personally, I prefer DistroKid because despite their subscription being more expensive than others, they meet my needs and I get what I want out of them, and they are polite and patient with me, which is great considering I am an autistic music artist with medium support needs. But for a while, I was with a different distributor, namely Ditto Music. Keep in mind, not all experience with music distributors are the same, but I will be sharing my experience with this distributor. Firstly, what made me want to switch distributors? At the time, DistroKid was supporting things like non-fungible tokens and generative AI art. They have revoked their support since then, but I was also frustrated at the fact that they locked useful features behind a paywall. Obviously, all distributors will have their pros and cons, but looking back, I kinda wish I didn't leave purely for those reasons. At the end of 2023, I signed up for Ditto Music and carried out the 30-day free trial. Initially, everything seemed fine and the single I wanted to upload successfully did so without any issues. So, I paid the subscription and transferred the rest of my catalogue to that distributor. No issues, or so I thought. When checking the analytics for my Apple Music page, I noticed that half of my catalogue was missing from the site. I was a little wary, but I decided to drop it because I didn't want to argue with my distributor. But my issues did not stop there. Touch of the Autism was also marked as explicit when it doesn't meet the criteria to be marked so I had to contact their support asking for them to remove the explicit rating. They said they did, but when I checked again, it wasn't. They completely lied to me, but again, I dropped it because I didn't want to be a nuisance customer. When the time came to send them Planet Electronica, I noticed on the day of release that they cut the very first song on that album to 30 seconds without asking me if it was okay to do so. Safe to say, I swore I could have nearly had a heart attack. What I also noticed is that they also formatted some song titles differently than what I had specified. The first noticeable instance was Contaminant, which they gave an uppercase C when I wanted the song title to be all lowercase. They did this again with Untitled Game Fantasy, where 3 of the 4 songs in that EP were all formatted differently, which I was livid about because I deliberately wanted I'm Not Important to Anyone Anymore in all uppercase to highlight the importance of that song and the message behind that song. So I couldn't help but to take offense when they saw they made that change without my consent. The final straw was when I finally plucked up the courage to speak to their staff about my catalogue being missing from Apple Music, when they had asked me to remove unwanted text from some of the album artworks and send them altered versions of some songs. The only text that was really on the artworks besides my artist name and my song name was copyright information, so upon receiving that dodgy message, I instantly knew that they were withholding information, so I asked them to specify further. Turns out they wanted me to sign over the copyright of my music catalogue and in some cases the album artwork to them and tried to pressure me into doing so. During that, they also falsely accused me of infringing someone else's copyright and said that I was using unauthorized samples in my song. That was when I turned around and I said, I don't believe you and I don't think you're really helping me that much. You will not be making any alterations to my original works, nor will I be providing any, so you may as well process the deletion of my account. After that, I went back to DistroKid the minute I had enough money to do so, and I was welcomed back with open arms, and luckily they were able to undo everything Ditto Music did. Moral of the story, Before you join or switch distributors, always conduct your research. Thank you for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. Very close to 100 again. Please subscribe. Check out my other social media, and I will see you next time. Goodbye!